Doo-doo-dee. It's Nandi!
Hello friends, Survival is back for the 6th time. Since we're familiar with it by now, I won't spend as much time explaining what the event is and just give you highlights before character analysis and recommendations. A quick shout out to FMG who has been invaluable in putting this together. His referral code is on screen as a thank you. The protagonist for this event is Judh the Genestealer cult Kellermorph who completes the faction as their 5th character. The event starts on April 20th and runs for a week until April 26th. You start with 2 tokens and the token refresh rate is 12 hours. Therefore, over the 7 days, you will have 15 tokens as a free-to-play player. You will face the combined forces of the Adeptus Mechanicus and the Astra Militarum, and you can bring any Xenos as allies. The rewards for this event are Judh character shards along with some other goodies. I'll quickly cycle through all of the chest rewards now. On screen now are the enemies that you will expect to fight as well as the power-ups for different levels. This is the first Xenos Survival where the ability refresh power-up has been available, which opens up new strategic avenues. We have the new Resurrection power-up. When you pick it up, you get a choice of 3 characters that have died to bring back to life. When these characters are brought back, they don't come back with any power-ups they had before dying, nor can they use their active abilities again. Note that this also works for your enemies. If you've been saving one of these power-ups, and then you kill one of the enemy characters from wave 13 or 14, and then an enemy steps on them, they get their enemy character back. The final wave of the supposed impossible difficulty has AdMech enemies. This time around, we have Skitarii, the same summons created by Tangita. Historically, we've been able to overcome this final wave by using some sort of cheese strategy where we kept the super juiced up units away using choke points and slowly whittled them down. I think the fact that these enemies have a ranged attack means that won't be possible, and I'd be surprised if anyone gets a full clear. In case you didn't catch everything as I was scrolling through it, here's a summary slide of all of the enemies and power-ups, sorted by level and rarity. Remember that you have a string of missions that you can complete to increase the stats of the protagonist, here increasing up to a maximum of 140% bonus health and damage. We've seen all of these enemies before. I've highlighted some of the most relevant here. The Electro Priests are the same as the last survival event. The Resilient trait makes them very hard to kill, and they hit hard and suppress 2 of your units. The characters that have flame damage or 2 sets of attacks like Snotflogga or Gulgorts are key to beating them. The Cadian Voxcasters are pretty annoying and you'll be familiar with them from the campaign. In some waves they come in big numbers, flooding the board and staying in the far corners of the map. Cadian Mortar Teams are probably the most annoying and most damaging summon. They have incredible range, high damage and suppression, so they invalidate Overwatch. The ones from the last few waves can kill a squishy character like Moggan Ra or Zybia with a single shot. Before we move on to the map, the key wave to defeat for this mode is level 11. Defeating the enemies of this wave gives you 3 legendary experience books. You can see here the stats for these enemies on wave 11. The difficulty of the sub-legendary waves has been reduced for this event, which hopefully makes it easier for people to get to this crucial book stage. Conversely, the legendary waves hit way harder than ever before. On screen now are the stats for the enemies for level 15, the supposed impossible to complete level. For every other survival, at least 1 player has managed to kill this supposed unkillable wave. I think the fact that for the first time this wave has ranged enemies might make it truly impossible, but let's see. This is the map that we play on. Enemies enter from these 4 spawn points. These 5 hexes in the middle are the spawn points for your characters. There are some height differences that might be hard to read, so I've taken the liberty of marking the map by elevation. The higher the number, the higher the elevation. I have also marked the points where the power-ups tend to appear. Before we get into the characters you can choose, let's talk a little bit about the protagonist. Judh is a very squishy character that is nonetheless guaranteed to survive the first attack each turn. Even with the maximum stats from having completed all the missions, she cannot take much punishment. Her damage output depends mainly on the crits that she manages to land. Her passive lets her attack a second time on the enemy turn once she's targeted, but this being ability damage does not benefit from the 140% stat boost from completing missions, so it will struggle to kill tougher enemies without a critical hit. It's also worth pointing out that whenever any Genestealer cult's unit resurrects from a decoy, they lose any power-ups they might have picked up. That makes Judh a suboptimal target for picking up power-ups like damage and health. Now the bit that you're all waiting for, the tier list and recommendations for this event. Here's the snapshot overview. I'll leave it on screen for a bit to digest before talking through some of the choices. I'll just talk through the top tiers and highlight a few from the bottom too. As a reminder, these are the traits that make a character good in survival. Repeatable summons, being able to kill more than one enemy per turn, being resilient or having self-healing. For this particular survival, with the ability refresh power-up, characters with a powerful active ability that potentially creates lots of summons are also excellent candidates. Back to the tier list. On the top of the list we have Snotflogger, Isaac, Sho, and Immaspec. Snotflogger is excellent as a repeatable summoner that is tanky and hits hard. Snot was already at the top of the list. The fact that he's able to kill Electropriest with a single attack, either through his passive or through the summoned Grot, gets him to the top spot. Sho is always an all-star in survival and nothing changes here. Each drone that survives to the next turn means one extra dead enemy. Isaac is not very resilient but can die once without too much consequence. The great part about him is his active, where he creates lots of summons that can come back to life once more, providing great distraction for the rest of your team. Anufet's in a very similar boat. The Necron warriors he creates do almost no damage to units of the same rarity, but they're reasonably tanky and have resurrection protocols. Summoning 2 or 3 waves of 5 or 6 warriors is a great way of giving your other characters the breathing room they need to clear the waves. Immaspec has lost a little bit of his shine for this survival event due to the many anti-Overwatch enemies. He's still very good at clearing enemies, particularly if you can optimize his position on the map. I found these positions to be pretty good. Positions 1 and 2 are best, but if you can't reach them, then the hexes marked 3 are a reasonable alternative. In the good tier we have the following characters. The Parasite of Mortrex is an excellent repeatable summoner, but loses a bit on 2 fronts. First, you don't get swarms when you kill AdMech units. Secondly, mortars are very hard-hitting units with blast damage, so the Ripper swarms that you create don't last as much as they did against the Orcs. The Winged Prime is a great repeatable summoner, and you can even double up on the warrior if you want through the ability refresh power-ups. The enemies this time are a little bit squishier, so you have a harder time summoning Gaunts, especially for the first few rarities. On the other hand, the Gaunt summoning mechanic makes the Winged Prime and subsequently other Synapse Tyranids really good at killing Electropriests. Gulgorts can also one-shot Electropriests or kill several Guardsmen per turn with his passive. His summons are pretty decent, and if you have no other good options, you can refresh his active and get more boys. The Pachamine works best with the Winged Prime due to the Synapse mechanic I mentioned earlier. He's also very good at triggering battle fatigue for the Guardsmen and can create summons of his own through his active ability. He has a reasonable amount of sustain through the blip mechanic where he can step onto them and heal himself. For Ithana, I was pretty high on her for the Red Gobbo event, as a lot of characters were slightly short of damage to kill their enemies in one turn. Here, most characters don't have a problem killing the Guardsmen, and Ithana's buff doesn't really let them overcome the resilient mechanic, so she's fairly average. The map is also quite open, so you don't need her for her 5 range flying movement. Aleth Null was also a little bit disappointing. It's hard to get the breathing room necessary for the Scarabs to multiply and get out of control, but she's still a decent healer. Holland seems to die way too easily to mortars and las cannons, and although the health bonus from his healing is nice, his healing is disappointingly low. You're probably better served bringing someone that can actually kill enemies. That's all for the overview. For those of you that are interested in watching gameplay footage and seeing how a particular run might play out, I've left a full survival run here on screen for your perusal. I won't talk over it and will just leave you to enjoy it with some background music. Thanks for watching and best of luck for the event. Bye for now.